And tonight she's going to talk about 6 pillars for a healthy business.
Yes.
It begins with you. So Dr. V, take it to you, Dr. V. Go ahead.
So as he said, my name is Benita Varnado. I don't take it for granted that you asked me to be here, Lawrence. So I really, I revel in the opportunity to present the information that I'm going to talk with you guys about. And I actually really like small groups because oftentimes people have questions. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand or, ask a question, stop me, because I really want this to kind of be interactive. Like Lawrence said, I always knew I wanted to be an OBGYN from a very early age, and I did it. I worked very hard, but when I got there, I had not, the picture that I had painted for myself, I didn't have a husband in there, and I didn't have kids in there. And so, do y'all know what OBGYNs do, right? We deliver babies that come all times of the night. We do surgery. And so it got to be quite a bit. And so I started burning out, and I didn't know that I was looking for something, but my spirit was. And in 2016, I saw a video, a documentary called Forks Over Knives. Has anybody seen that before, Forks Over Knives? All right, I'm about to blow your mind. This is what really started me on the path that lands me here tonight. So I'm going to play a clip. Let me just briefly tell you what it's about. It's basically about how people have illnesses like diabetes and high blood pressure, and our current medical system gives them pills and surgeries to address these problems, but they can change it, fix it, reverse it, cure it with their lifestyle. And so it's a really short video. It was on Netflix for about 10 years for free. And it still is, but you have to go to their website. But what we're going to hear, the clip that we're going to hear is towards the end of the documentary, where a woman who had diabetes, who was told she was going to be on medicine for the rest of her life, has now gone through this whole food, plant-based diet program. She's exercising, and she's just going to share the benefits and what has happened to her body since she started living that way. All righty. And again, this is on the website, and it is free, but you have to put your information. So it's forksoverknives.com.
Only 2 months into her treatment, Sandera was experiencing dramatic effects on her type 2 diabetes and hypertension.
Since I've been on a plant-based diet, blood pressure's been wonderful. My blood sugars are in the 80s. It shocks me, 70s. And so I was alarmed when it was 60. I'm like, isn't that bad? It's 60, And I talked to the diabetes educator, which is wonderful. She's like, no, that's a normal blood sugar. Your pancreas is working, it's reversing.
Ironically, Sandera works at an outpatient facility for diabetics. Yet the treatment that was achieving success with her diabetes came from outside the established medical system. The positive results went far beyond Sandera's chronic diseases.
Mentally, not having the sluggishness, the fear of the disease progressing, because I feel I'm in control and I have power of taking it back the right way now. So mentally, I feel great. I'm eating the things I should eat. And the one thing that is true that Ann said to me, you really start tasting the real taste of what you're eating. Because I eat a peach and you would think, I was in heaven with my white peaches. I get to eat. And that feels good to be able to eat, bringing the sugar down, you're losing the weight, your whole everything changes. I think we're a little dependent on, our doctors and the medications. We should take a little bit more responsibility in checking out for ourselves.
And speaking of doctors and medications, how does Sandera's regular physician feel about her new lifestyle?
When I recently approached her about my blood sugars being so great, my question was, should I not take my medication? She said, no, you still take your medications. And she said, what is that doctor trying to do? Take you off your medications? And I'm looking like, yeah, I'm hoping that's the goal. So there's still people we have to make believers. Yeah.
All right. So she said there are still people that we have to make believers. She was talking about her doctor. Traditional doctors have a problem with, I think, and I'm a traditional physician, but just the way we were trained, this is how we help people. And so we are not taught anything about diet, exercise, and how we can actually use that as treatment. We're hearing food is medicine. It really is. And so I really want to make you guys believers. And I hope to empower you that you can actually change the outcomes. You can actually change your health. Christine, is it Christine or Christina? Christine, Chris, she's eating her salad. And I just heard Lawrence say she's losing weight. So pipe in if you want to give us some tips while I'm talking. All right, I'm going to get started with my presentation, my slides. So,
well, while you're getting ready with that and bringing that up, I started that journey a long time ago. Awesome. And my story wasn't diabetes, it was cancer. And so I dug deep into what I was, eating and drinking, and just the amount of stuff I was drinking that I didn't realize was so, just not good for my health in general. But going through that journey was an eye-opener, just in terms of food and learning what food can do for you, and that everything we need is He's given us.
Absolutely.
Everything we need, He's given us.
Everything He needs. And the body was actually designed to heal itself.
Yep.
Like all of us have cancer cells in our body right now. Every last one of us.
Yep.
There is actually a cell called a tumor suppressor cell. So that when your cancer cells start, if there are cancer cells and they start to ramp up, its job is to suppress the cancer. It's already built in the system. And so if we feed the body what God intended for us to have, and we treat it like it's our temple, and we treat it like it is a Lamborghini, then all the safe stops, the gaps that He put in to make sure that we continue to be healthy will still be there. So thank you for sharing that, Chris. And just as a aside, how long do y'all think it takes from the start of one cancer cell present in your body to actually become cancer that we notice, detect, and start treating? How many years do you think it takes for that process?
Angel says 6 weeks.
10. It takes 10 years. I'm talking about from one cell. So there are, like, people don't just wake up and have cancer. They just do not wake up. It wasn't like, and I don't know what kind of cancer you have, but breast cancer is a common cancer that we see in women. They feel a lump. The lump didn't just get there yesterday. It started years before.
Yeah.
And so there are multiple opportunities for you to intervene. And the best time to intervene is when it's early, And I promise you guys, lifestyle medicine has actually, it's a new specialty of medicine. And we're actually doing the research, and we have evidence to back this up. I'm not just pulling this out of the air or off TikTok. We have evidence, and we've studied that this works. So, all right, I'm going to go back. I can't see y'all when I do my slideshow, but I wanted to come in and see your face, Chris. All right, so Lawrence has renamed this for me, 6 Pillars for a Healthy Business, which I think is good for the the folks on the Meetup. I've been to the Meetup several times before, and we're talking about business and real estate and making moves. I previously called this health before hustle, because in this entrepreneurial circle, now that I'm in here, you know, I hear that sleep when you die, you got to get on your grind. And the truth of the matter is that if you do not take care of your health, you will not be able to run that business, to make those deals like you need to. People are like, I'm not going to sleep. But if you don't sleep, then you're not as productive. You can't think as clearly. So 6 pillars for a healthy business. You are your business. You are your business. Health is wealth. For most people, if they had a stroke right now and had to go to a nursing home or a rehab center for 3 months, would that affect their bottom line? Yes.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yes.
So it would ultimately affect their money. It would affect their money. Not only that, potentially they might not come back to be who they need to be to allow their business to thrive. And so in lifestyle medicine, we say we want to add life to your years, but also add years to your life. So it's not necessarily just about eating the right things, but it's having a fulfilling life, it's having a full life, a happy life. And that is money in the bank. That is money in the bank. Also, and you know, Chris, I'm because you shared that you had cancer, they say that the average cost to treat a cancer patient is $200,000
a month.
Oh, geez. I didn't know. I thought it was, well, the stat I've read is total, but maybe depending on what type of cancer and what surgery, radiation, all of those.
Right. I was going to say just the radiation and the, gosh, I forget the medicine that I had to inject weekly in my stomach to make sure that my cell count, like I'm well enough to receive the next chemo treatment.
Right, right.
So between those two is when I got my explanation of benefits, it says this is not a bill, this is just explaining, you know, how much. And I was going every other week. And it was $117,000 for the chemo. So do that times 2.
Oh my gosh.
And then the injection was $7,000. Do that times 2. And that injection, if you guys could see, it was like that much medicine. I mean, $7,000 for that. And now radiation, because I had that later, that was, I think 89,000. And I did 45 days.
You get the point. So $200,000 is probably on the lower end of average.
Yeah, that's seriously 1 month.
And that's if you have cancer. Now, if you got to come to the doctor for doctor visits, you've got medications, you've got co-pays, and you're coming back and forth into the medical system, you are spending a lot of money. So again, health is wealth. If you implement most of these things that I'm telling you tonight, you would probably only have to see your doctor once a year. And if you have accidents, like you break something or you get shingles or something odd. But if you implement these things, you should only have to see the doctor one time a year. Now, I'm not your doctor. I don't know your medical history. I'm basing this on the fact that 80% of chronic conditions are preventable with lifestyle. 80%. 80%. All right. I keep coming in and out because I just want to see y'all's faces. All right. Going back. So what I want to start with tonight is I want you guys to take this flourish scale. Again, it's not about, I definitely want your body to be healthy, but I want your life to be happy and whole. And so this is a scale that you can take. You rank every statement from 1 to 7, 7 being that you strongly agree with the statement, okay? You don't compare yourself to anybody with your score, but what you want to do is over time, you want your score to get higher and higher. So the lowest you can have is 0, and the highest that you can have is 56. So I'm going to read these real quick and have you guys score yourself. I lead a purposeful and meaningful life. 1 through 7. 7, strongly agree. 1, you strongly disagree. My social relationships are supportive and rewarding. I am engaged and interested in my daily activities. That speaks to your mood. I actively contribute to the happiness and well-being of others. I am competent and capable in the activities that are important to me. I am a good person and I live a good life. I am optimistic about my future and people respect me. Now, this is actually a scale that has actually been studied, and it goes to your psychological health. But you also see that there's some aspects of your daily activities and relationships that are also very helpful. So what you would want to do is you have this score, and then periodically, once a month, once a quarter, you would take this scale to have some measure of where your life is headed. And ultimately, we want to get as close to 56. So we kind of talked about the chronic disease epidemic. 80% of diseases are preventable. Heart disease, stroke, killing us, cancer, we just talked about that. 6 out of 10 adults have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more. So 60% have at least 1, and 40% have 2. And in our healthcare system, we spend a lot of money taking care of people, and we have very poor outcomes, very poor outcomes. Learned helplessness is something that Martin Seligman, a psychologist, coined. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard the phrase, but basically, simply, people learn to be helpless, even if they can change the situation. They just adapt and become accustomed to living in this situation where they think that they're helpless, but actually they can actually do something to change their outcome. And so when I watched Forks Over Knives, which talked about these sickest patients reversing their heart disease, I stumbled into lifestyle medicine. And these are the 6 pillars: nutrition, sleep, exercise, substance abuse, stress management, and healthy relationships. On that healthy relationships end, we're lobbying to put positive psychology as one of the, as a 7th pillar. So out of these 6, which one do you know the least about, or have you heard the least about? And I can't see y'all, so you can just say it. Which one do you know the least about?
I'd say for me, it's sleep.
Okay.
Probably the healthy relationships.
Healthy relationships, yep. Anybody else? One more person?
Probably healthy relationships for me.
Yes, okay. So I love giving this talk, and I always like to lean closer to the ones that most people don't know about. We hear a lot of nutrition and exercise and don't do drugs. And honestly, some of the information that's out there, is not necessarily in line with lifestyle medicine, but at least you hear it. Sleep is so important. Stress management is so important. And during COVID, we figured out that connections and relationships are also very important. All right, so stress. Stress is unavoidable, right? If we're walking down the street and the wind blows, that's a kind of stress. When we talk about I am so stressed, we're talking about distress, but it's a state where you are emotionally or mentally, you have tension because you feel like you're in a bad situation. Now, I want to just say that we're gonna hold this distress can be managed with. This is going to be for the end, but mindfulness, physical activity or exercise, making sure that you stay connected, breathing techniques. This is my favorite, boundaries. Boundaries so that you don't experience the stress in the first place. These are some ways that you can manage the stress. So most people, when they go to the doctor, believe it or not, they are coming to the doctor for something that is directly related to stress or their lifestyles. And if you are stressed, you are probably not going to be as healthy. You're not going to want to reach for the apple or go for a walk outside and hear the birds chirp. That's just a fact. So we basically want to understand that stress will happen, but we want to be able to manage it in a healthy way. I don't want you to read all of this. I just want you to see that stress affects you in all different kinds of ways, Sleep is probably one of the most common that people sometimes don't make the connection. All right, so this is where you want to be. You want to be in a state of what we call flow. You want to it's called being in the zone, where you don't feel the stress and you feel the zest of what you're doing. Flow for me, when I'm in the garden, that's flow. Sometimes, when I was in the operating room, surgery, I was in the zone. But essentially, when you are challenged with a stressor, if you've got the skill to manage that stress, then you can move toward flow. But if you're challenged and you don't have the tools to manage it, then you move into that anxiety quadrant up there. If you're not really challenged and you can do a whole bunch of stuff and you're really not reaching your full potential, that's when you're bored and I would venture unfulfilled. So we definitely want to be right in the sweet spot and flow. All right, so we just talked about sleep. I'm just going to put it out here. These are the things that we tell everybody to do. Oh, forget about the blue light. You want to be in a cool, dark room. There is really, we say 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but depending on who you are, you might need more, you might need less, and it might take some getting some trial and error. You also want to train your circadian rhythm, which is basically your sleep-wake. You want to train it by going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time. And as much as possible, you want to be exposed to sunlight because your brain produces melatonin. You don't have to buy it off the shelf. Your brain produces melatonin. And when you're exposed to sunlight, your melatonin levels decrease and that helps you wake up. Okay. We talked about, or Lauren said we were at the powwow, and I actually gave the Health Before Hustle talk, and I really kind of honed in on restorative sleep. And throughout the whole weekend, I kept hearing people talk about sleep, and I want to get more sleep. What I shared with them is that you don't want to just lay in bed and quote unquote sleep. You want to go through all 4 phases of the sleep cycle. And you want to get to deep sleep and REM sleep. Believe it or not, and that's the typo, believe it or not, deep sleep is where your body restores itself. So you're producing growth hormone, your muscles are being rebuilt. So people who work out in the gym and lift heavy weights, they're thinking that they're getting big because they're lifting the weights, but actually the growth hormone is really what is helping them repair those muscles and bulk up. So if you're not getting restorative sleep, you never get to your physical, to the physical portion of your sleep cycle that helps you restore. The REM sleep, the fourth stage, is where your brain actually restores, right? And this is so important for your mood. It's important for your memory. It's important for you to concentrate. I like the way that I heard it and learned it is that your sleep is like a dishwasher, and your brain is in the dishwasher. You have got to put it in there, and you got to rinse it off and get all of the gook so that it can function better. And we believe that Alzheimer's is actually directly related to sleep, because there are proteins that build up in the brain that can cause Alzheimer's. Now, definitely there are lots of other factors, but that is one of the risk factors. All right, sleep disruptors, things that interrupt your sleep. Caffeine, depression, stress. Actually, what you eat, as far as these highly, highly processed foods, your body does not know what to do with these chemicals. Seriously, it doesn't know what to do. And so your body is like trying to figure all of this out. And while I am talking about highly processed foods, let me just say that in America, we are eating things, or things that are in our food in America are banned in other countries. In some countries, they call our food Frankenstein food. So I'm very serious when I say really avoid these highly processed foods. Alcohol in particular, I know a lot of people like to drink a glass of wine at night. Wine actually makes it difficult for you to slip from the second stage of sleep to the third. The third is that deep sleep, that slow wave sleep. Your body is trying to break down the alcohol, and because of that, it can't move into the other stages of sleep. And so you're thinking it makes you feel good, it makes you sleepy, but it actually is impairing your ability to have what? Restorative sleep. Okay, so we're not just trying to sleep, we're trying to get good sleep so that when we wake up in the morning, we feel refreshed. This is a really good time to talk about substances. So avoiding substances. And I will just say that when we talk about sleep, honestly, I don't want to say most patients, I've never done a study, but in a day, most people are taking something to help them sleep. Most. And unfortunately, we as physicians have prescribed some of those medications that are ultimately going to be addictive and harmful, like Klonopin or Xanax. Again, I'm not your doctor. But if we can manage and get you in a better sleep hygiene pattern and a better routine and take away that medication, that's what we want to do. Because remember, any medication you take has side effects. And when you start putting all of these medicines in your body, it's like we're doing chemistry now. It's like a petri dish. So we want to avoid alcohol. We want to avoid marijuana if we don't have to have it for medicinal purposes. Absolutely, we don't want to smoke. Now, everybody says, okay, weed is okay and it's recreational. What I find is that, and y'all know I'm telling the truth, and y'all know somebody like this, maybe it's not you, but what people end up doing is, oh man, they got on my nerves, I had a bad day, let me smoke a cigarette. Or man, I just want to wind down, I want to cut loose, let me drink. And so what that's called is self-medicating. And so basically what you're teaching your brain is, when I feel this, I do that. And that is how we become dependent. And ultimately, if you have addiction or if you have a dependency on these, it really robs you of the quality of your life. It doesn't start out that way, but it can. All right, let's talk about food. So what do gorillas eat? I got this actually off of a site that talks about animals. All right, so we would agree that a gorilla is a pretty big animal, muscular and strong. Yes, yes. All right, so what does it eat? Does it eat steak? Does it eat, big, large animals like lions? No, it eats leaves, fruits, vegetables. They do eat insects, so they get some of their protein from that, but a big, strong gorilla is not eating chicken, steak, salmon. They're eating plants. What are cows eating? Another big, strong animal. They're also eating plants. Okay, so say it with me. We are humans, so we should be eating
plants.
Plants. We should be eating plants. And as we originally said, our body was designed to break down the plants. It knows what to do with a plant. So much so that your body was created to get its nutrients from the food. Like if you eat a balanced diet, you don't need a whole cabinet of supplements unless you have a medical condition. If you are on a plant-based diet, you do need B12. Most of us need vitamin D because we don't have enough sun exposure. And it's very difficult to get vitamin D from your diet. So those are really the two supplements if you're on a plant-based diet. So in lifestyle medicine, we would say we want you to be on a plant predominant diet, not 100%, plant predominant. So 95% plants, 5% other. I'm not saying that you should give up everything, but I will tell you in other countries where they have lower incidence of cancer and lower risk of heart disease, they have bigger plates. They have plates that have more vegetables on it, and the meat is actually a side. The meat is actually a side. So animal products contribute to higher cholesterol. They contribute to diabetes because the heme, the blood in the animal product, actually contributes to insulin resistance, which is the cause for diabetes and leads to a whole bunch of other conditions. So we want to focus on a plant predominant diet. Now, there's vegetarian where you don't eat any meat, but you eat animal products. Animal products would be eggs. Animal products would be cheese, dairy. If you're vegan, you don't eat any animal products, but it doesn't eliminate highly processed food. So Oreos, you can eat Oreos all day and still be vegan. So the key term here is whole food plant-based. So whole food meaning that the food that you eat is closest to its original state when it came out of the ground. So you can potentially eat drink apple juice, which is highly processed, or you can eat the whole apple. The apple contains fiber and it contains the red pigments that actually feed your gut bacteria. Y'all, leaky gut and gut flora, they're all buzzwords. We know our immune system arises from the gut. Our nervous system arises from the gut. And with all of the food that we eat, the fast food, the processed food, we're not putting enough fiber in our systems. And what our gut bacteria loves is a variety of foods, different colors, different types. And when you eat a variety of foods, you are replenishing your gut flora. That will help to reduce disease, will help you fight off colds and viruses better, and it will actually help your mood. So you want a variety of foods. You want to have most of your plate to be vegetables. Now, if we're going to start this today, you can eat whatever you were going to eat, but I'm just saying add more vegetables. Just add more vegetables. You don't even have to reduce the portion of meat. Just add more vegetables. And slowly, we want to kind of level that out where we have more vegetables than we do have animal products. You want whole grains, which are brown rice, quinoa, barley, these things that we call complex carbohydrates that your body has to work to break down so it doesn't spike up your blood sugar. White rice is processed. They've taken off all of the good stuff. And so when it goes into your body, it breaks down into sugar very quickly, spikes your insulin, and that's how we get to insulin resistance. So the SAD diet, like this is literally a term, y'all. The standard American diet is what they call what we eat, is the SAD diet. And while I'm talking about it, for a while now, even since I was a child, we've been told that dairy is the best way to get your calcium. If you eat plants, you will get plenty of calcium, minus the fat and minus the inflammation. Inflammatory processes, and I could go into a lot of detail, but that's another talk. But simply put, cow's milk was never meant to be ingested by humans. The calf has the enzymes to break down that cow's milk, that dairy. We as humans, we have the enzymes to break down breast milk from a human. So when we are faced with a substance like milk that our body doesn't have what it needs to break it down, it causes an inflammatory response. And so again, progress, not perfection, but ultimately we want to wean dairy out of our diet. All right, so I know that I have just motivated you, or you're gonna go out and eat all of these vegetables. Again, this is a list that I haven't necessarily put up here for you to read everything, but just know that there's the Dirty Dozen and there's the Clean 15. The environmental work group, they come up with this list every year, and it's based on those foods that are exposed to more or less pesticides. So if you are going to buy organic, you don't need to buy everything organic because that can particularly get pricey. If you want to, you can. But the Dirty Dozen, the Dirty 12, that's what you want to buy organic if possible. I'm not saying don't eat them, but you probably want to be more judicious with the source where they come from. All right, exercise. Ooh. If we could put exercise in a pill, it would be a wonder drug. It would be a wonder drug. Big Pharma would go crazy. But we can't put exercise in a pill. We can't, but we can do it. We can do it, but you're not necessarily going to hear as much about exercise in our traditional medical system, and not to bash it, but we're not putting emphasis on that. But it affects every single organ system in your body, every single organ system. And you're looking here at the medical benefits. So it reduces your blood pressure, your blood sugar. It helps to manage your weight. When you're walking, that's weight bearing, you're helping your bones get stronger. You are actually improving your mood. You're improving your mental health. You are definitely working out your heart, and you're working out your blood vessels. It improves sleep. It increases your sex drive. Ladies, menopausal women, I'm telling you, that can boost your testosterone levels. Exercise, exercise, exercise. It is a way to manage stress. It's also a way to be clearer. I will tell you, and this is not a secret, that exercise is an actual treatment for mild depression or anxiety. Moderate or severe, you might have to have medications, right? But if you exercise, you can be on a lower dosage. But if you just have mild depression or mild anxiety, exercising on a regular basis, at least 30 to 45 minutes. The study that they said was an hour, and that has varied since it's been published. But if you exercise daily, you can actually, instead of taking a pill, you can just exercise and be off any medications if you have anxiety or depression. All right, healthy relationships and happiness. I think this is what two of you said. This is one that you haven't heard the most about. And what I will say is that COVID kind of, I think, brought that home, that the older folks that couldn't see their grandkids or their family, that were isolated in the nursing homes, we saw a decline in their health. But really, it's true for all of us. It's true for all of us, from babies to the elderly. Healthy relationships help you feel connected. They help you feel supported. It doesn't, you have hope, right? You're not in this world alone. They've actually done a study. It's the longest study that they have had. They followed men from Boston, and the men are now, they started when they were 19, and now they're in their 80s. And what they've seen is that the number one thing that contributed to a long, healthy life, it wasn't that, they didn't smoke. It wasn't that they had minimal stress or that they ate well. It was that they had relationships, they had support, they had healthy relationships. So this is extremely, extremely important. And so I have this picture here on the left because this kind of mimics my family. We do Sunday dinner most Sundays, which is spearheaded by my mom, who is now 82. But the whole family gets together. My children, my nieces, my nephews, they'll sometimes bring their friends. We're laughing, right? We're eating, we're feeling good. It's not always the best food. My mom is from down east North Carolina, but you know, you get the point. We're together. And that interaction actually helps to extend our lives. We're adding years to our lives. On the right, that's my little girl, Coco. That was when she was 4 years old. 4 years, the 4-year-olds, they're my favorite age because there's this independence and this discovery of life. And then they start to get their thoughts. So I love 4-year-olds, but this is her in the bathtub, put too much bubble bath and turned the jets on. And she was happy. Laughter, just taking time out to take a break and do the things that you love. This is not like cliche. Your body actually needs the time to break away. So that's one thing that I realized when I left my job. I think I had 238 hours of vacation time that I never took. And I didn't take it because when I would leave, there was always more to come back to. But what I have now learned is that you actually have to take breaks because you're not as productive. You're not as productive and you start to get burned out, which leads to you get pissed off, you don't care, and the quality of your work actually decreases. So happiness, we'll hear things like gratitude. Remember I told y'all to thumbnail that. Positive mindful activities, meditation is very important, journaling, and taking time out to breathe and just be quiet are definitely things that you can do to boost your happiness, which is very important. All right, I'm coming to the end, y'all. Who is on your squad? So there is, let's see, seven hexagons here. There should be many more. You might need a massage therapist. You might need a personal trainer. You might need a therapist. There are all these people, but if you have health insurance that you're paying for, probably some of it is going to waste. Ideally, what you should have is you should have one doctor that you know and you trust. Well, wait, what do you say, Lawrence? Like, know, and trust, or know, trust, and like? Okay.
No like and trust. ALT.
No like and trust. No like and trust. So you should have that primary doctor that kind of punch you out to the other folks. And what I will say really quickly is that some things have changed in medicine. Colonoscopies or colon cancer screening, we used to do at 50. Because of our diet and because of the way we eat, we now have changed that to 45. You should be getting mammograms starting at age 40 or earlier if you have a family history. You should have somebody taking your blood pressure when you go to the doctor. Someone should do a mental health assessment. Just check in and see how you're doing. And in my wheelhouse as a gynecologist, someone should also be talking about your sexual health. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. This sums up everything I just said. Eat plants, keep moving, sleep well, be present, stay calm, and love people. And this is my podcast. It's Office Visits with Dr. V. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. That's my website, officevisitswithdrv.com. That is my email if you'd like to get in touch with me. It has been my pleasure to talk with you guys this evening. And again, I hope something clicked. Either with the sleep, stress management, avoiding substances, healthy relationships. What did I miss, y'all? Nutrition and exercise. Okay. So Lawrence, thank you again for having me. And I know we're right at 8. So if you have any questions quickly, I would love to answer them.
I'm going to say, first of all, Dr. V, thank you very much for coming on. The reason why I brought you on is because we can talk about real estate and how much we got to do and what we got to do. I got to do this, but people are not taking care of themselves. This is very, for me, I think this is very important at the beginning of the year, right? Because even before on our previous meetups in December, Angel's on there and some other people on there also, and also Khadijah was on there. We talked about goals for the year, right? And some people's goals was to give away some weight, eat better, take care of themselves more, right? And that's what I think part of this whole thing for the year is doing this, right?
Yeah.
I just appreciate you coming on because we get caught up in we get caught up in this real fast, right? We get caught underwriting till 3 o'clock in the morning, the whole 9 yards, go to sleep, get back up, let's do it again, right? Because even I was telling you earlier in the meetup, right before the meetup began, that these last 2 weeks, from the January 1st now, I had a hard stop. Because since I've been retired, I've been moving since May 7th of 2020. And I had to do a hard stop this time because you're right, you feel like getting burnt out. Like I'm ready to give up, I'm done.
Yep.
Now, the first question I'm gonna ask you is, can you please, will you be able to give me a copy of your presentation so I can hand it out to the people here, to the group here, and an email sent out to them? That's the one. Thank you very much. And I don't say thank you again. So, any questions? So, I'm sorry, there are some questions here. Somebody asked, Rachel Jones asked, what about soy, almond, and coconut milk?
Okay, so first of all, soy has gotten a bad rap because of breast cancer. We know that it's what we call a estrogen. So when we hear estrogen, we think of feeding cancer, but they actually discovered a alpha and a beta receptor, and the soy actually triggers the beta receptor, which actually downregulates cancer. So soy is fine. Coconut milk is not cow's milk, so it's better. But coconut milk has more saturated fat. Almond milk is fine as well. You do have to watch what they put in it. Again, you'll start reading some of the stuff on there. And I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I try to eat. I'm like 70% whole food plant-based. It is hard to make your own almond milk, and it only lasts like 3 days. So we're really kind of at the mercy of the groceries now, but just make sure you're reading the labels to see what's in it.
Yeah.
Pamela, what about, Pamela asked about, what about oat milk?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. But remember, so if you're eating mostly plants, all of these things are fine. And it's definitely better than cow's milk. Just know that. Plant-based milk is way better than cow's milk. But I mean, I prefer almond milk. Oat milk is good. I have some right in my refrigerator now, but if you have issues with insulin resistance, that might be more of an issue for you. But again, if you eat a whole food plant-based diet, you don't really have to worry about that. You really don't.
So the way back,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, when I was transitioning to more plant-based, it could be overwhelming, right? This is probably why, when I diet, it would not work because I would just go so hard, so quick, So what I did to help myself, if anyone's thinking about it, is when you look at your plate, when I looked at my plate, it needed to be colorful. And that sounds so simple, but when, it was full of Alfredo, chicken Alfredo, and then a dinner roll, and then something else and something else, that's not color, right? And so when I started, I was like, okay, no, I can't do that, just out of habit, or my mom frying that pork chop and then having mac and cheese, which is orange, but that's not the right color. And so just look at your plate and look for, you know, that fruit, that vegetable that, you know, and if it's colorful, that was a great start for me.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind.
Yes. Yeah. Are you saying something, Tiffany? I don't know.
You know, it's funny that you said that, Christine, about that, because I was listening to, it was a podcast, and somebody said, talking about starting January off slow, right? Because a lot of times people are going to get, I'm going to do this year's going to be my
right, go hard, and you lose it.
And you're going to just burn out by the end of January, you finished, right?
Yeah.
Well, you will be so hungry and eating everything I told you not to eat.
Right.
Go hard.
Right.
I mean, I've been on this journey since 2016, and I'm up to like 70%. Mm-hmm. I'm up to 70%. So it's just, and you can just pick one. You can just get 30 more minutes of sleep a night, or make sure you get a routine. It doesn't have to be that you go all in. Ultimately, that does not guarantee that you will have long-lived success with these changes. And, you know, lastly, what I'll say is that, you guys, we don't know how long technically your body has to live. You might have 50 years, but the things that you are doing right today, like she said, white food, no color, all those things are contributing to potentially shortening the time that you have. And I'm going to tell y'all, this is when in 2016, 2017, this is how I knew God was like, yep, this is where you need to go. I had a good friend who had breast cancer, and she did not want to take chemo or radiation for it. Finally, I convinced her to go to the doctor because she had it looked like cauliflower. Her breast looked like a cauliflower and it was bleeding. The first thing they told her to do was to start eating a plant-based diet. That was the first thing. I mean, she came home with this book. That was the first thing they did. Now, they didn't give her a nutritionist. They ain't telling, they just said, start eating these things. Now, she was like 60 something. She's been eating not plant-based her whole life. So again, I'm a part of the medical system, but I was trained in our traditional medical system. And I'm telling you that you have the power to take back your health. You have the power, and we know it. We know it. And you ultimately are going to have to seek out opportunities like this, hook up with people like Chris, and figure this thing out, because it's not going to necessarily be coming down from the CDC or from the NIH. You know, you're going to really have to look at this as a journey, but you can definitely do it. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel better. You are going to feel so much better and be so much happier. And your bowels will move so much better. Constipation sucks. I'm telling y'all, if you're not constipated, you don't know. You don't know when you're not constipated. So, okay. Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a question. So, like, I was looking at because I'm pretty sure I'm in perimenopause. I don't think I'm all the way over yet. But I was reading about there were estradiols that you can get from like the soy products like tofus and stuff, but aren't those super processed too?
Yeah, technically tofu is processed, but it is a good soy product. You can do edamame. So, all right, you put me into my gynecology role now. So depending on how bad your hot flashes are, sis, like you can't eat enough edamame to get those under control. Like if you're waking up at night in a full sweat, then you have to eat a whole bunch of soy to really manage it. But ultimately, depending on how severe it is and how disruptive it is to your life, you might have to be on medication temporarily, but you want to be on the lowest dose possible. But guess what you want to try first? Exercise. You want to try exercise first. There's a problem with our thermostat when we start going through menopause. And exercise, you know how our body temperature raises when we're exercising, that helps. And eating the right foods, avoiding sugar, Oh my gosh, that is like the number one thing. Sugar, sugar, sugar. If you cut out the sugar, I promise you, you'll see a decrease in hot flashes. And you didn't specifically say it was hot flashes. That's usually the most disturbing thing. Sometimes we have issues with our periods. When we start going through perimenopause, weight loss helps that. But even if you start eating less processed foods and eating more vegetables, you'll see that your cycle can potentially regulate and get lighter.
When I mean, like, so I take Adderall, and so I already have weird sleep problems, but all night long, I'm putting my feet out of the covers, putting my feet in the covers, putting my feet out of the covers, putting my feet in the covers. And then I wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm up for 2, 3, 4 hours.
I know.
Until I'm so exhausted that I finally sleep a full night.
Yeah. Do you eat sugar? Do you eat a good portion of sugar, would you say? Or have you ever tried to take that out of your diet?
I've tried to cut back, but I'm pretty sure that I'm eating carbohydrates that are immediately sugar.
Yeah, so exercise and sugar would be the first things that I would say. And, talk with your doctor about Adderall, depending on your dosage. That can interfere with your sleep and your sympathetic nervous system, which doesn't help.
Yeah, but I did have a friend that told me that I should take my contacts out and go outside in the morning. First thing every morning, get outside and get in the sun, because she was talking about the circadian rhythm part of it too.
Yeah.
And that it helps reset you.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to. So I had blackout curtains for obvious reasons because I was sleeping when other people were awake. But yeah, you need that trigger. You need that sunlight for sure to wake your brain up. You're going to be all right though, Angel.
It just sucks.
They'll pass.
So I'm 46 and I'm like, is this like the next 10 years of my life? Because this sucks.
I've been on several podcasts. It's not fun, but it can get better. The most common, so I have patients who don't have problems with menopause. And the common thread that I've seen between all of them is they walk. They all walk. Every single day they walk. And managing your stress. So baby steps though, baby steps.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Pamela.
This is right on time because this is what I believed in years ago. And I started, and then, life happens and it's easier to not be as intentional about the food you are eating because that takes planning, that takes time. So thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Dr. V. Okay, my question is, in moving, because I am a person who always believed in not eating a whole lot of meat. So this was just, a kick for me to get back to what I know. But my problem was 2 things. When cutting out or decreasing my meat, would you say that you have an opportunity to not get enough protein in your diet when you're decreasing your meat intake and increasing your fruits and vegetables and nuts and all of that good stuff?
Okay, so remember what the gorilla ate?
Yes.
And what the cow ate?
Yes.
And they're big, strong animals with big muscles.
Yeah.
You can get plenty of protein. You can get all the protein you need from plants. You don't have to eat meat. Some sources of protein, most vegetables have some protein in it. And if you're eating a plant predominant, you'll get enough. But quinoa is a wonderful source of protein. Beans or legumes, those are great.
Lentils, okay.
Yeah, so you can, and mushrooms, now portobello mushrooms can replace a burger if you cook it right. Again, this takes some research, this takes some time.
Yeah.
You need to get some people on your squad, but you can definitely get all the protein that you need with plants, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. With a note for the beans, if you start on beans, make sure you soak them. And I would titrate up, don't eat them at every meal because some people can get a lot of gas from it. Okay. But if you soak them and cook them in an Instant Pot, which is amazing, it's so quick, that's a wonderful source of protein.
Okay. The other thing is that sometimes I know if you don't plan right and you don't think it all out all the way, sometimes, and maybe it's mental, I don't know, But sometimes when taking out meat, you can get the feeling as if you're not full. And so sometimes people I know, and I know it's not a good thing, they'll substitute that for like the carb, which is the, I do eat brown rice. So it's the brown rice or like the whole wheat pasta to get more of that full feeling because you're eating more vegetables. But I know that all of that carb intake is no good and that will put weight on you. Like the, I know the gorilla is not eating pasta with sauce, but you know, but it still has that, you know, they're not eating meat. So I try to do more cruciferous vegetables to kind of give me that more bulky feeling, to, you know, replace the meat and not eat like the carbs, fill up on carbs. Do you have any other suggestions or tips?
Absolutely. So fat and fiber make you feel satisfied.
Okay.
They make you feel satisfied. You just said pasta, right? So even though it's whole wheat, that's still processed and somewhat refined.
Okay.
So it's better if you eat like a whole grain. So the brown rice, I would prefer that over a pasta or barley or quinoa. Because remember, we want it to look as close to what it looked like when it came out of the ground. The reason that's important is the slower that it takes your body to break it down, the more satisfied you feel. It doesn't kind of go through your system as quickly. But yeah, you can fill up on vegetables, but I will say that I've noticed that if I just eat, you know, water-based, like leafy, like salad vegetables, I get hungrier faster. So you definitely want to add some of those carbs, protein, and healthy fats in there.
Okay, one more question and I'll leave it to someone else. Would you, if you ate an English muffin, would you choose the whole grain English muffin as opposed to the whole wheat? Which one would you do, whole wheat or whole grain?
So that's a play on words, right?
Ooh.
So wheat is a grain. So you have to really, y'all, you have to look at the labels. You have to look at the labels. And if it has enriched in front of it, that means it's ultra processed and they've taken out everything.
Okay.
The best bread that you can eat that has like a lot of grains and complex carbs is Ezekiel bread.
Okay.
It's located in the freezer section.
I've seen it.
It does take a little getting used to. It takes a lot of getting used to, but you can get there. But listen, you know, if whole wheat is, or eating whole grains is what you do, and you're coming off of the white, that's better.
Right.
Better. And, you know, if you're putting some peanut butter on it without a whole bunch of sugar, there's your protein. That's better. Right. So I'm not saying that you should eliminate everything, you know, but just if there is an alternative, that's a good place to start. If I can replace the white rice with the brown rice, then let's try that. You're going to start feeling better, Pamela, and you're going to start noticing a difference. And I just pray that God will lead you down the path once your body tells you that I like this better. It's magic. It really is. Even though you might fall off, you'll still come back to it. You will still come back to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can do it.
So, let me ask a question, Dr. Vicky. You said about sugar and getting to the closest color it can be, right? So, you know, sugar, domino sugar, is refined to the bitter end, right? So now, what's the difference between that? And I didn't read the labels. I look at the calorie count. So I've been doing the Turbiano sugar, right, in my oatmeal for the morning. Is that what's the difference? That, because I know, you know.
Yeah, so it all comes from sugar cane. Right. So sugar cane looks like bamboo. And so you said domino, the white sugar is most processed. So the turbinado is brown, so it's less processed, but it's still sugar. It's still concentrated. And when you ingest it, your insulin levels shoot up, like, and then they crash down. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, turbinado, I guess, is better. Ultimately, I don't know if you remember what she said when she started eating vegetables, her taste buds started to change.
Right.
And that a white peach tasted like it was bluebell ice cream. And so even though turbinado might be less processed, your taste buds are still detecting that sweet and wanting that sweetness. And it's just addictive, y'all. I mean, they think, sugar is as addictive as crack. And they base that on what happens to your brain and how we crave it. If you've ever tried to come off of sugar and do a sugar detox, you get cravings and you get headaches and you don't feel good. And the minute you introduce it, you want it again. So the goal is to just try to limit your sugar intake. I wouldn't just say, go turbinado and you think you're doing something. Artificial sweeteners too.
No.
I'd rather you do turbinado than artificial sweeteners. Those are what we call carcinogens. They put you at risk for cancer. So, yeah. Oh, nutritional yeast. I saw that. Oh, yes. Oh, you know some stuff. I didn't learn about nutritional yeast until I plant-based. Lawrence, you know what that is?
No.
Another talk. It makes your food kind of taste cheesy and flavorful.
Oh, okay. Well, that's definitely a talk.
But it's not like eating bread yeast.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like a dead yeast.
Yeah.
But it's a way to get more proteins.
Yeah,
Okay.
and vitamin B. Mm-hmm.
So now here's a question. Rachel says, talking about sugar, is that the same? It's like you have the same rush. Are you saying the same rush with monk fruit? Monk fruit?
So that is a fruit-based sweetener. And depending on how it's processed, it is better than your regular refined sugar. Okay. So any of the natural sweeteners are better, like maple syrup, agave. They have y'all heard about the glycemic index?
Yeah.
The glycemic index is how fast it raises your blood sugar. So they're lower on the glycemic index.
Okay.
Again, I would caution you is, that's fine to substitute, but ultimately you want to limit all of that so your taste buds can actually get the benefit of tasting natural food.
Okay.
I don't like the taste of monk fruit. Yeah. Yeah, it tastes a little artificial to me, but I think it's fine. And when you see it in foods, like I just got some granola this morning and they sweetened it with monk fruit. So it doesn't have that taste.
So because what I've been doing is I've been having oatmeal in the morning time with cinnamon, pouring the cinnamon on there, and the Turbiano, everything else. So I'm working, like this year I'm working on, since last year, really feels I'm working on eating a lot better.
So if I can just expand, I know we're way over time, but with the oatmeal, a good thing to do would be add some blueberries or strawberries so you get that fiber, and that will add the sweetness. Put some walnuts on it. That's your omega-3s. Flaxseed reduces your cancer risk, 2 tablespoons a day. Yeah. So those are things I would add to your oatmeal.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Write that down right now. Flax seed. I'm going to listen.
Jackfruit. Oh man, go ahead, Angel. Yeah, jackfruit. It has the texture of chicken. Yep, and you can season it, and it takes on the flavor of what you season it with. So that's a really good substitute. Because sometimes we get hung up on textures. Yep, chia seed pudding. All right, y'all are my people.
Well, my sister-in-law also made carrot hot dogs. You boil them first, and then you put them on the grill, and they get like that crunchy kind of outside that you need on a hot dog.
What's that?
They were carrots, but they tasted like hot dogs.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it, but whatever she did, it was really magical because the hot dog is like 180 calories. And if you're trying to diet, you don't need 180 calories.
Yep.
That's one hot dog. With the bun, you're looking at 300 calories. And who eats one hot dog?
Yep. So
Wow.
everything we're saying is you got to cook it. You got to, so it takes time, but if you want to be healthy and you want to really be judicious about what you put in your body, you're going to have to either have somebody make it for you or learn how to dice a little bit.